Hello and welcome to our face coloring practice demonstration video. We are going to be doing this video in a follow along style. So that means I will talk you through the steps and then you'll try them immediately, and we'll work our way all the way through until we reach the end by doing the follow along steps. Now these are the colors you're going to need, so you should collect them with me. And if you need some time to sharpen, that's okay. So we're gonna start with Crimson Lake. Nice red color. Then we're gonna come in with our orange. Got that next. Then we have our neon yellow. We've also got our grass green. We've got our dark brown. We've got peach. And we've got black and white. So go ahead and collect those colors. We wanna make sure that they are nice and sharp. That does make a big difference. So make sure that you have taken a moment to sharpen them. We can pause the video here if we need to. Now, we are going to begin working on coloring our cat. You should already have the outlines complete. We are going to get started by working on our eyes first, and we're going to begin with our darkest color. Now let's go ahead and start with our black. We're gonna come in, and I want you to do this with me, so let's begin by filling the inside of that pupil to be solid black. So let's make a border first. We don't want to draw into our highlight, so leave that space. Give yourself a little border around the circle highlight and around that kind of sharp V-shaped highlight at the top. We're just filling that so that it's nice and solid and shiny. Now we're going to come in around the outside of the eye. We're not going on the interior here, just that outside edge. And we're gonna double this up. So we're gonna make like an eyelid space between these lines. So we've just added that border and then a second line behind it to be the eyelid. All right, now we are going to do the same thing on the other eye. So let's hop over here. We're gonna give this a nice border around the outside edge, make this nice and crisp. We're gonna do that again for the eyelid. So we're just giving ourselves a space between those lines. And we're also going to fill in our pupil to be solid black. And we're giving ourselves borders around our highlights. So make sure you give yourself that border so it's nice and sharp and crisp. Blow away your crumbs to see if there are any spots that you still need to fill. And that is what it should look like with just the solid black. Now we're going to come in. I'm gonna zoom just a little here. I want you to watch this part first. So we're going to come in and we're going to make a very solid edge of green right up against the black. And then we're gonna fade it out, and we wanna start having a nice light value, and then we wanna just so slowly lead it out so that it's fading all the way out to white by about halfway. So again, watch this part. We're trying it out with the solid black up against the edge. We're gonna fade it out, and we wanna fade it out by the time we reach halfway down the eye. Fade it all the way out to white. Okay, go ahead and fill it with me. We wanna go back and make sure that we've got a beautiful transition here. We don't wanna have like an abrupt stop. We wanna have it flow very smoothly all the way out to white with no abrupt edges. Next, we're going to come in with our neon yellow. So I want you to take that neon yellow. We're going to start on the opposite end, and we're filling solid pressure all the way back up to where the green began. Ooh, look at that cool color fade. Isn't that fun? So we're gonna come in with our neon yellow going all the way back up to where the green began. And it should give you a really beautiful transition from our dark all the way out to that light color of neon yellow. All right, Next, we are going to work on the nose. So we're going to take our black colored pencil. We're going to fill the side of our nostril, and people always fill these too solidly. We are just going to take that black and just fade it out right along that edge. So we don't need to fill it in all the way. It just needs to start with the solid. So same with this right side, we're gonna fill it in and then start to fade it out. We kind of bring it up in a little curve around the shape of the nose here. And we are going to hop into the center line. We're gonna start by filling in this middle part that's like leading down to the mouth. And then we're gonna fill a little bit solidly down at the bottom of the triangle of the nose. And we're gonna just let that fade out. And we wanna make this so softly fading. So it should start dark and then fade and get lighter as it works its way up. All right, now we are gonna come in with our peach. We're gonna take this peach, we're gonna come in solid from the very top edge of the nose. Some of you may have drawn this outside edge, this line bordering the nose. You don't need that necessarily. I'm actually gonna erase mine. It was just so I could see where to stop that color. I'm filling in solid on the light side, and then I'm working my way all the way back to that side where we began with the dark. Now, I kind of lost the little line in my nose, so I'm gonna come back with my black, and I'm gonna redraw in that little black line that's dividing my nose. I'm also going to take this time to come in and add a couple of these individual spots that I see on the nose, and I'm gonna try to really pull the details that I see. So I see that there's like two next to each other, two next to each other, two next to each other. So these little speckles like to be friends. And then we're just gonna bring these little dots all the way back up around the edge of the nose. And there's our little nose. All right, next we are going to continue into the mouth. And for the mouth, we are going to start in the same way we have been by filling in our darkest values first. So we're gonna come in and we're gonna fill the interior of the mouth, but the trick is that we wanna make sure we don't fill in our tongue right here. We're gonna leave that space. So if you haven't blocked out a space for your tongue, you should try to save a little room because we'll be filling that with a different color. Now we're gonna fill the entire back space with black. We want to avoid the teeth. We want to avoid going too far out into this little smile on the left side. So I'm going around my teeth very carefully, making these nice crisp borders. And I'm going to use tiny little circles to fill in that texture. All right, now there's our solid black on the right. I'm also going to add some solid black right underneath the tongue on the right-hand side. So let's come in with our black here. And the black doesn't quite stretch all the way out, so we have to make sure we're leaving space for the gums. All right, blow away your crumbs so that you can see if you have filled in all the way up against those edges. Okay, now at this point, we are going to come in and start adding some shading. So we're gonna come in on the edge of the cheek right here, not with solid black, but with like a pretty dark value. And we're going to start fading this out. Now on our tongue, we're gonna come in and we can just kind of like give ourselves some value that's wrapping around. We see that it's a little bit darker on the the bend of the tongue here. So I am coming in from the back and fading that out like a value scale, and this little U shape in the front, and I'm fading that like a value scale. So we kind of want to create just like a light patch. We've also got this little fold on the right side of the tongue that we're trying to show. So we make just like a U shape on the inside. We're gonna fade that all the way out to white on the inside of the tongue here. All right, and now we're gonna come in and shade some of the gums. So we're gonna shade on the left of the right side teeth. That little row coming in here, we've got a little bit of shading on the edge. And then underneath the right side teeth, we're coming in, adding just a little bit of shadow just right at the base where it's touching along the bottom of our little fangs at the bottom here. Just giving that some detail. All right, now we are going to switch to our carmine red, or sorry, our crimson lake, sorry, wrong red. And we're gonna come in and we're just filling on top of the tongue. So we're just gonna let the whole tongue be red, and where our values changed is where it will look lighter, and where it's solid is where it will be completely filled in with shadow. So we're just filling this space in, burnishing using very heavy pressure. And it allows our tongue to have some value in the back. All right, good job. Now we're making sure that we filled all the way up to the tooth, all the way up to the edge of its little smile here. Want to make sure that's all the way filled in. And next we're coming in with our peach, and this is for the gums. So we're gonna go right underneath the teeth, all the way into that black value that we were fading out, and we're adding that just directly around the gums. Just super heavy pressure. Let those colors mix themselves. All right. Now at this point, we are able to come in and start adding the values for the face itself. So we're gonna start with our darkest values. So we're gonna come in with our black on the left-hand side. And although we don't really see that much of like a shadow on the left, I think it's helpful for this project to pick a side to have like show more of your shading. So we're just gonna come in and add just like a small value scale on the left-hand side, and I'm doing that all the way along with the ear as well, maybe a little lighter in the ear. We want to fade that so smoothly out to white. Now we're also going to do that along the edge of the neck with a nice black line, and then we're going to fade that up as well. Sorry if you couldn't see that. All right, now we're fading that out. Zoom a bit. All right, now we are going to come in with our dark brown, and we are going to go through and fill our stripes. So we're looking for all of the stripes, and we're trying to fill in the same shapes that we see. And I'm gonna just like do just the stripes for right now. So I'm coming in and adding dark brown to all of my stripe shapes. And we want to, for example, in this face, if you watch how I'm filling, I'm drawing in the lines at the same angle as the fur is going, so that it makes it look more like real fur. So I'm just like adding in these fur strokes all at like a diagonal angle. And I'm just filling that in. And it's okay if you don't stay inside the lines perfectly. Like this is a good way to kind of rough up your stripes so that they're not so perfect. We're just going through and filling these in with that dark brown, and check with your picture to make sure that you've got all of the stripes that we are looking for. And from here, we're also going to come in on the edge of our ears. We're gonna add just a little hint of that brown, just kind of wrapping itself around the top of our ears. All right. There's that little edge, and we're gonna go all the way around and then just kind of narrow it out to the interior of our ear. And what we're going to do next is come in for some shading with our brown. So I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna add some dark brown like in this part of up against the nose where it's like getting kind of close to the bridge of the nose. I see a little bit of that on this side, and maybe like a touch through like the edge of the cheek. So I'm gonna come in and show just like the edge of the cheek kind of like a little bit darker and then rounding out as it reaches the top. So this is showing that these cheeks are kind of round. And we've got like a little bit of a gap before it reaches the nose. And then we fade this all the way out to white. And let's do that with the chin. We've got like a kind of almost like a sun ray like starting at the chin. So I kind of make all those lines kind of like leading out. We've got a little bit of brown shadow here. All right, now I think that we're pretty close. I might just darken up some of these spaces. Check yours to see that you've got a nice transition out before you come in with orange. Now, when we come in with orange, we need to prepare to leave some spaces white. For example, we're leaving around the eyes white. So this space can have like a little touch of orange, like with a couple little lines coming in, but it should primarily be white. Now, what we're going to do is come in, and I am going to start on maybe the ears would be a good place to begin. And the ears we fade out to pink in the center. So we're again just starting solid around where we already added the brown, and then we're gonna come in with some pink on the interior. Now let's hop over to the left side of our face, and I'm just gonna fill in orange. And remember that we're leaving the spaces directly under the eye. So we don't want to fill those in. We want them to stay white. We want our cheeks to be pretty white, but I am going to bring the orange back underneath the cheek. So see how it kind of like comes back on this side. Now I'm going to continue filling with solid orange. And we've got our little section of our chin right here that's got some value. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to fade this out to white and leave that and let it be filled with white later on. I'm also going to add some orange to like the chin section right here. And I'm just going to fill this entire bottom space just solid burnished with orange. And same with this space along the bottom. And as we are working on the jaw, I'm going to kind of let that fade out up against the gum line there. So I'm going to let that fade out. I'm going to come in, and remember we're leaving the cheeks and right around the mouth and right underneath the eyes white. So we're trying to really pay attention to that as we're going. We want to not fill in the cheeks or around the eyes or under the mouth here. And let's see, so we're trying to skip those sections. So I'm going to fill in by these stripes. We want to just avoid that space there under the eyes. And we're just going to kind of bring up to the bottom of the ears. We can fill in that space between our eyelid lines and just go directly over the top of our brown. And we've got a little bit of white like around the top of the eyes too, so I might just kind of leave that. And then as we come down, I'm just gonna kind of like leave some like lines kind of left over. And we want to kind of fade out as we reach the nose as well. So we're just kind of going over the top. I'm gonna come in on this little space by the cheeks and add a layer of my orange to the brown so that it's not just brown, that it has some of that orange to it as well. We're gonna fill in our ear. And again, we're just doing a layer of orange and then fading it back out to white. We're gonna look anywhere where it's like got an abrupt stop and make sure that that's accurate. Now, I want you to pause and compare yours to mine. And this is the phase where we are going to come in with our our little bit of red in the ears. So I'm gonna add just like a little hint of like this pink, like going in lines almost to kind of show like the texture that's leading from that center point. So I'm like leading it all the way back to that interior kind of line, like that center part of its ear. So there's some pink just added in. Now the last step to complete the coloring for this face is to come in and to burnish with white. Now I really want you guys to focus on this part. So take a look up at the board. I'm gonna come in with my white starting on the light side, and I'm just going all the way back to the beginning, and see how now that's so much softer and smoother in that space. So anywhere where you have a value fading, so on this cheek, for example, I'm gonna start on the lighter side, and then I'm gonna work my way all the way through that space with my white to help it blend out, to have a nice smooth transition. So we are going all the way over the top of all of our open spaces with our white to help encourage a nice smooth transition. So I'm just going around all of the spaces of the face with my white, wherever it was light or if it's like kind of rough or kind of patchy in any areas. And this is just a great way to blend any spaces that might not have already been perfectly blended. So we're just going through and adding just a little bit of blending. And we also will hit the ears, kind of leading back to that center space. So we're going just in lines directly over the top of that pink, leading it back to the center of the ears. Leaving a little bit of white at the bottom is perfect. And after this, blow away your dust to see if there are any spots that you've missed. You can also take a look in the cat coloring step-by-step and see if there are any parts that you need a little bit of a recap on. But I think that that is going to give you some really beautiful end results. I am excited to see your guys' progress after this, and I'll see you for the next video to learn how to shade in the clothes. Good job. Thanks for watching.